to today's episode of Creating Mental Wealth. I am beyond ecstatic to invite you to know this amazing human. Miss Emefa Boamah is the founder of Emefa Boamah embodiment coaching. I knew I was going to blow that. I knew I was going to mess it up. But I'm so excited to have you here in studio to talk about this work that you're doing. So hello.
Hello. You say you're beyond excited to be here. I'm more than excited and honored to be able to share the space with you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, we're going to jump right in because you have some amazing things that you have created and that you're offering. And so I want to, just for our audience and for those who have not had the pleasure of knowing you for as long as I have, tell us a little bit about what is embodiment coaching. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so when I think of embodiment coaching, the way that I describe it is I guide women through the process of coming back home into themselves. So calling back the pieces of themselves that they've left out in the world. I help them call it back. And then from that space, we figure out, how am I living? How do I want to live? What's the delta? What's the difference? And if we can close that gap in this lifetime, we do it. If we can't, we take the steps that we can and then heal in the process. But really, how do I live this life now, here in this body?
I love that.
That's how I describe it.
And it's perfect, I think, like for such a time as this, right? So post-pandemic, we're in a recession, like all of the things make it very hard to just remember to stay centered and stay focused, right? So what brought you to this work? I mean, when I met you, you were saving my life from a very mean person at a wonderful event. So tell us a little bit about how you got here.
I grew up in Ghana. I moved to the States about 10 years ago. And as a child, I was always that person that, most people thought I was a boy because of how much I fought for other people. I wasn't the type that would sit down and look pretty. I was playing, I was out. And there's always been something about me that was like, that has wanted to fight for other people who don't have voices. So there was part of my life that this trauma that happened, which I noticed the disconnection, even though I didn't remember exactly all the details. So living that part of life, having my mom move to the States, experiencing an extended period of more disconnection, moving to the States, thinking that, I'm in the States, it's gonna fix everything, right? Because I changed the location. And just living with that sense of observing my life, like looking at, okay, this is the life that I think I want to live, but there's some dissonance between it. And when we met, I think I was at the beginning, I was like a baby stage of healing. But somewhere in 2018, I had one of the moments where I decided, Emefa, this is like a make or break moment. You decide how you want to be from this point forward. The foundation that you had growing up didn't help, but you have the option of excavating all of that and then rebuilding. So I started by creating a community that I can depend on for those moments when I'm on the floor crying. And then I took myself to get professional help. And that was one of the most beautiful gifts I could ever give myself, therapy, coaching. And then fast forward, 2020, I got sick from COVID. And I was in the hospital the week before Christmas. And I had a moment where I felt that I died. A part of me died. And I had this experience with God, source, whatever you want to call it. And I said to him, I was like, Coach, I know that the game I've been playing some game in life.
Obviously, right? Yeah.
I don't know when that's my game. But if you put me back in the game, I promise, I will get clear on what my game is and play it until it's time for me to leave in this lifetime. And I remember going back, I was working with an organization then, and just this sense of, I've always known that I'm here to help women.
Absolutely.
And the vehicle or the tool that I'm using now is the embodiment coaching.
I love it.
So yeah, from my own disconnection, disembodiment, that journey, my incredible ability to hold people's pain without taking it on as my own.
Oh my.
And then combining all of that and thinking, I'm just going to go ahead and put my medicine in the world, and those who need it will find me.
That's awesome. It's interesting that you say that. So we talk a lot about creating mental wealth and how important it is to have a very diverse portfolio of gifts and tools and resources. And so I just keep remembering the first time we met, and for you to say that that was when you were in the baby stage of your, I'm like, are you serious? Because you saved my life. So funny story. We were at an event called Dîner en Blanc. It's this huge global phenomena where people get together and they meet and they don't know each other. You just show up and party, and it's great. And I was head of entertainment for this massive event at Dallas City Hall. And I had been there, I don't know, 16 hours or something. I was just outside, with like a walkie-talkie. And at the end of the night, some things went wrong. And this guy was just kind of yelling at me, and I can't believe this is, whatever. And I had no energy to even rebut anything that this guy was saying. And I remember you coming and just literally kind of saying, hey, why are you talking to this lady this way? And so I want to encourage you that even though you didn't realize that that's what you were doing, you helped me even in that moment. And so creating mental wealth is about identifying what we need in that moment, understanding that we do have a wealth of resources. And I thank you for being one of those resources for me over all of these years. It's been phenomenal. And it's exciting to watch you grow and see how you are literally blossoming. So we're going to wrap up for a minute. We'll take a really quick commercial break and come back. And when we come back, we'll talk more about embodiment coaching and how that fits into our portfolio of mental wealth strategies. We'll see you in a minute.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.
Welcome back. We are in studio today with the founder of Emefa Boamah Embodiment Coaching. I said it right this time.
Yes, you did.
Too many syllables, and then I lose it.
We can just keep it EBEC.
EBEC. I will probably mess that up too. So we were talking a little bit about embodiment coaching and what brought you through that. We had just for everyone else's sake, we had a little conversation like, okay, we're not going to cry because we've been friends for so long, and I'm so proud of the growth and the fact that you have accepted the responsibility of your own mental wealth. And that is big because a lot of times we, as survivors of trauma, as survivors of a lot of things, we blame ourselves. We want to just kind of hold on to that shame and that guilt. And so it's been a pleasure to watch you kind of shed those layers and say, who am I really? Who am I inside? And I'm grateful that I've been able to be a part of that kind of, that embodiment, watching you. So it's been awesome.
And it's really amazing you say that because I think I said this to you one time. The person that I've unfolded to become, you saw before I even saw it. So to be able to embody that person that you saw, which is just this amazing woman, really amazing.
You can say
person.
goddess, it's fine. You can use the vernacular that I used when I said you're a goddess. And you embody that.
You called me that. And I also find when I'm working with my clients, sometimes it takes a while. What I just did, it takes a while to accept the greatness of who they are and just claiming it and existing in it and celebrating it for them to be able to say, yeah, I'm a goddess. Yes, I'm a badass. Yes, I am all the things. And that's part of why embodiment is really a key thing for me, because I think as women, we're taught to exist in a world where we think our way through things.
Yes.
But you and I both know that as human beings, and on top of that, as women, there's no way we can live outside our intuition.
Absolutely.
We've experienced a way you live outside your intuition, and you burn out very quickly.
Absolutely.
So it's a combination of how do we, this body that I have, because it goes through so many things.
Oh, my word.
We have different phases. how do I make friends with it? How do that's the part, like, okay, how do I not beat it? How do I not shame it? How do I not wish it to be a different state? You can do all those things, but how do I love it through the process?
I love that.
Of unbecoming or becoming or unfolding or unlearning.
And understanding, I think, too, that it's not something that's a one and done, right? It's not like, oh, you know what? I went to this event. It was great. And now I know how to embody you're like, no, we'll do this every day for the rest of our lives, right?
Yes,
and so talk to us a little bit about kind of that journey. Like, if I were one of your clients and I were to come to your session, I know I will leave feeling empowered and educated, and I'll know what to do with that. But give us in a couple of summary points. What are the key things that are like understanding who you are? I get that. But a lot of us grow up not liking who we are.
Exactly.
Or who you are. And so tell us a little bit more about that. Like once we've uncovered our true self, even if it's a younger, more painful version of self, how do we not let that terrify us from this embodiment coaching? Like how do we not run? Because for me, I ran my whole life away from that girl, right? I'm like, I don't like that little girl. I don't want to be around her. So how do you continue to stay in the work of embodiment, even through the pain and even through the almost ripping off the Band-Aid that we've put on for so many years? How do you stay focused?
Thanks for that question. The first thing that I do with clients, which I also do with myself, is I help them build an embodiment or self-care toolkit or mental health toolkit, which it's invisible. You can design it, you can bedazzle it, whatever you want to do.
I'm always for the bedazzle.
But then in that box, we introduce tools like breath work, movement, tapping, working out, whatever it is that gets you out of your head into your body. So I work with my clients to find out what's the thing that when you're scattered, right? The thing that you can tap into. If it's taking a walk, if it's having a glass of wine, there's no judgment here. Right. But what coping thing do you have right now that works for you? And then how do we find the purpose that coping thing serves? And then find a different thing to replace it. Because you cannot, this container is this container. I cannot put anything that's more than this container. So we take stock of the fact that, what is your container? What are we working? What are you capable of? What's your edge? Where is it at the point where I'm pouring too much into it and you're overflowing, right? So once we know what your container is and we know that this is what we're working with, how do we continue to fill it with tools that work for you? And then we move from that place. Because most of the time I find that when I move people too quickly, they're not ready. The nervous system is not ready. The brain is not ready, the emotions is not ready, the body's not ready. So we take a lot of time to become familiar with who they are before we go into who they want to be. And then create that sense of self-safety, self-trust first, and then also create a community, because you can't heal in isolation.
I know that all too well. I've tried a couple times and it failed miserably. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so the first question is, what's your capacity? What do you have in your cup? What are the things that are working for you? And the things that are working for you, which ones are harming you and which ones are not? How do we find things to replace those? And if you can't do it in isolation, who do you have around you where if you can't call me because you're having a dark night of the soul, do you have someone that you can call that can be with you in the space, help you get out of it, whatever you need? And from that space, once we have that and we're like, okay, this is not working for me, it's not serving you anymore, then I hold them. I think my role is more, even though it says coach, it's more of a guide. Because my whole premise of my business is based on the fact that people have what they take to heal. It's already inside
of us already.
Exactly. So how do they reclaim that? I'm not here to teach you who to be. I'm not here to teach you a way of being that works for me. I'm here to reflect to you the things that you know work for you, but you probably forgot or mask. And then we work through that journey to becoming the embodied person that they are. So there's the physical part, there's the emotional, the mental, the energetic. I work with all the facets of their being because we're not one-dimensional beings.
Oh, not at all. Far from that. And I love the verbiage that you use because it's very familiar to the verbiage that we use in the Creating Mental Wealth curriculum, right? So identifying things that are our mental wealth withdrawals, right? There are some things that are a part of our daily life that take away from our mental wealth bank. And a lot of times we don't surround ourselves with people that can make those deposits, or Or even worse, we don't want to ask for that help.
There we
We
go.
know that we have that community, but we don't want to ask for it because of shame, because of because we are nurturers for the most part, and we don't want to burden our community. And so I love that you put a stressor on. We can't do this alone. So I'm so excited. I'm trying not to cry because I'm just so proud. I'm just like, okay, wait. There,
Something you said about that is, usually when clients say to me that, and myself, like I don't want to ask for if I don't know how to ask for help. I ask them, if someone were to call you in the middle of their crisis,
Yes.
how would you show up for them? They're like, of course, I'm going to drop everything. I'm not going to charge them. I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be there for them if I have the capacity. So it's, why would you allow someone to offer that gift to you, but you don't offer the same gifts to the people?
I feel like you said that to me before. This feels awfully familiar. No, that's good. It's great advice. I love that. And I think we need more of that. We need absolutely more of that. So when we come back from break, we will talk more about this embodiment guide that we have been blessed with today. We'll talk more about how it integrates into kind of your mental wealth strategy. So stick with us. We'll see you in a moment.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.
Welcome back. We are having way too much fun here today. In our studio, Emefa Boamah, we're talking about embodiment coaching, how important it is, how it should be a part of our mental wealth toolkit. And we talked a little bit about community, so I want to pick back up on that. I know that a lot of the clients that we work with struggle very hard with, like, I don't really want to hurt anymore. And going back to understand who we were is important. So the Sankofa principle, I talk about that often. We must return to the past in order to move forward. And the work that you're doing is exactly that. And so sometimes people want to move a little too quickly. So talk to us about your clients who are like, yeah, let's just get this fixed. I got someplace to be in like 30 minutes. I need to do this embodiment thing and get moving. So how do you address that when people are in a rush to heal or they think they're farther along in their journey than they are? How do you deal with that?
Thanks for that question. As you were saying that, I was thinking of, I literally had an image of someone like, I need to go. And then the first question I ask is, your body's here. Your mind is obviously somewhere else. So first, how do we let's decide which one you want to, do you want to be in your body or do you want to be in your mind? If you want to be in your mind, I'm not here, this cannot be rushed, but I say that with a sense of love because in that moment, something is happening that is, I reflect to them something is happening that is out of their control or this state of urgency that society has created, right? Where we always have something somewhere else to be. The first thing that I do is to ask them, I understand that you have something that's going on, and this could be whether it's the next thing at work or healing. Why am I not seeing so much work happening? First is, it took you a very long time to build, to be the person that you are now.
Exactly.
So 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or even working with me for 12 weeks, it's not suddenly going to be a magic pill that is going to solve everything. So that's how do we navigate the state of urgency that we feel we need to fit into? And that's part of what brings people to me, because they rush, and then they crash and get to a point where they're like, I can't do this anymore, I surrender. So there's people that, like you said, they're further along that they think they are, and those are the tricky ones because
I would imagine so, yeah.
Because I'm part of, I do my best to know shame is not welcome in any of my things. So it's really a question of, I'm hearing what you're saying. There's a part of you that's showing up. Do you recognize this part? Is this a part that you're familiar with? Is this a part that you want to dialogue with to find out, is this really about the next thing you want to get to, or is it what you think the next thing is going to give you that you're chasing? So once we get that separation, people are like, oh, I actually don't need to do this, or I don't have to do this. I don't have to rush things along. And then there are people that have legitimate timeline because they're sick or that we deal with differently, that I honor where they are, I know what they need. And then from that space, we just really create. I think one of the things I said in the beginning is the delta. Not everyone is going to be able to close the delta in this lifetime. And sometimes when I talk to people at the very beginning, I say that this is where we would like to get to ideally. But if we don't, because of your capacity, your willingness, whatever it is, that's okay too. Awareness is enough. And then if you're ready to take a break and cocoon and come back and we can try again, then we can try again. But I do not force or push people to go further than they have the capacity to.
That's awesome. And I think that's key for all of us while we're healing, is the understanding that there is no, and this is tough for me to say as a project management professional, there's not a timeline. There's not like a line 52 on a project plan. Like, we should have been here already. Why are we not there? And so I love that you allow your clients their opportunity to heal in their own time. But also, because I know that I'm also guilty of coming up with excuses, right? I'm so busy. I'm too busy to heal. I'm too busy to understand who I am truly and if I'm moving in my purpose. And so I love that you hold your clients accountable.
I do.
And you don't rush them, but you also won't allow them to languish in a place that is not a good place for them. Yes.
If you say this is where you want to get to, this is your talk, and your walk is lagging, how do we close the gap between the walk and the talk? And if you decide at some point, because it's too much that you don't want to get into it, that's what I hear them saying, and that's what I sense that's happening. So it's a question of, may I reflect this to you? This is what I'm sensing. This is what you're saying. Which of these feel true? And which of these do you want to hold on to? Which of these do you want to act out? And sometimes all people need in general, especially women, is just to be seen
and heard,
and heard, and to be reminded that they're not crazy, feeling one thing and speaking the other.
Oh my gosh, that's so it's profound. I think it's interesting that women are blessed with a myriad of intuitions and energy. Like, we know better. We say it often, right? We're like, I knew better. Something in my gut did not feel right. But it's because I believe we're out of touch with who we truly are. So we don't trust it. And you said this earlier. We hear something in our gut and we're like, okay, I probably should not, whatever, date this person or take this job or whatever that is.
It's the shoots.
Yes. And you're like, no, we should stop. We can't shoot all over ourselves, right? We have to say, this is what happened. This is how it impacted me. Here's what I will do to make sure that I can, to be better. So before we wrap up, because I know, I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to find out, how can we find you? How do we support you? How can we send people your way that are your typical clients? How do we find you?
Thank you. I have my website, which is emefahboamah.com. It's very simple. It's my first name, my last name. You can also find me on LinkedIn under the same name, on Facebook under the same name. And if you want to see how I go through my day, very usually my Instagram is also available, Emefah_embodiment_coach. That's where most of my live sessions happen. And while I feel led to say this, that if you're watching this at some point, and you're thinking or wondering, what is embodiment coaching? Who's this woman that's on the screen that's talking about my life? Because I feel like she's talking to me. Did she read my journal? Did she talk to someone? If you don't get to work with me personally, I just need you to know that there are people out there that are offering what you need, and I would be honored to work with you if you're looking for it. And if you have any questions, you have anything you want to know, you can find me on any of these. And I see you. I see you.
I love that. And thank you for being so honest. It's so refreshing. In the days of, television being maybe not as real as reality would make us think. Thank you for showing us the importance of understanding who we are. And if we find ourselves straying away from that, which we will, reminding us how to come back and making sure that we are not just physically healthy and physically wealthy or financially wealthy, but that this is a part of our mental wealth strategy, is understanding embodiment and making sure that we are not just pouring from an empty cup. Yeah, I love this. I love that this has been incorporated in the show. I'm sure our producers are going to make me do this every episode going forward. But thank you so much for the time that we've spent today. It has been amazing. I'm so proud of you. I am so grateful to have been a part of your journey, and I cannot wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you for having me. Like I said at the beginning, this is something that has been in the works for years. So to have this platform, to be able to share who we are, how we are showing up in the world, and how from the medicine that we have tasted to put that medicine out in the world to the people that need it. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm honored to be here.
Well, we will definitely have you back. Okay. So you have been a joy and a light in the studio today. So thank you. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Creating Mental Wealth Show. We will be back in our next episode with someone equally amazing, but not quite as beautiful. And I'm sure that you'll notice because it's a guy and he'll appreciate that I said that. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for all of your support. Please do find us on all of the socials. Know that it's the end of the year. We are a nonprofit. 2020 lives changed. And we would appreciate whatever support you could provide to us so that we can continue to make these changes in our community. Until then, sending peace and light your way. Bye.